Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airwaves and strap in as we
Defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
broadcasting live from the Kata Studio. So welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, and as always, I am your host, Ho-Ho. So how y'all's doing? Normally, I would ask, or at least hope, that you're doing good. But in all honesty, I really can't say that this time, because I hope you're pretty ticked off. I really am. You know, I mean, have y'all's not been paying attention to what's going on in the news right now? Are we sleeping? Are we asleep at the wheel? Is this thing on autopilot? You know, is it on autopilot? Is that what's going on? You know, are we just trusting that everything's going to be running according to how we think it should be? You know, I had an epiphany earlier. You know, I really do need to. Okay, look, the Constitution is a little bitty document. You know, it's not very big. It's a pamphlet, guys. It's a pamphlet. All right. Not a lot going on in there. It was written in plain, simple English. In all honesty. So anybody could read it and understand it. You didn't need to have higher education to be able to understand it. So I really need to rewrite, you know, and this is kind of where my thought process was. You know, I really need to rewrite the Constitution, you know, and entitle it the Constitution for Stupid People, so that this way maybe y'all would understand exactly what the founders were saying when they did this whole thing. You know, I mean, isn't that kind of what we need right now? Because unfortunately, I mean, we have gone so far beyond what our founding fathers intended. We have gone, you know, these different administrations, you know, these different branches of government has gone so far beyond what their intent was, and they have gone outside and far beyond their powers and what they're supposed to be doing. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it really is, you know. Now, we're going to, hey, cool, that's I never noticed that before. Okay, anyway. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Now, I'm going to start the show in a little bit different of a place. You know, normally I go off and I start off with some satire and, you know, stuff from the Babylon Bee. But in all honesty, like everything that I was seeing from the Babylon Bee was like poking fun at something that had happened and we are going to be talking about later on in the show. But we're not going to be starting there now. Instead, we're going to look at this headline. Now, this is actually from the Joe Rogan Experience, headline from Sportskeeda. I doubt I'm pronouncing that very well at all. If we ever go to war with China, that's when they're going to break out, Joe Rogan speculates, UFO being government drone. I read that and I had to, like, I don't necessarily think he's too far off with that, you know. Okay, now look. All right. Hello, Brian, over there in YouTube land. He said, "What's up, ho-ho? Not much, man. Not much. How you doing? How you doing?" So let's put it this way. I believe in the possibility of, you know, life on other planets. I definitely, I believe in the possibility. Okay, but with some of the people that I have met over the years and some of the people that I know and some of the people that have done some of the things that they have done and having inside knowledge on different things that goes on, you know, there's been a lot of, let's just say, circumstances revolving the sightings of UFOs, different, you know, test facilities of the Air Force, different, you know, launching locations of, you know, aircraft carriers and submarines and different things like that. So, I mean, you know, it's one of them things that, you know, yes, coincidences could happen. However, when you got so many coincidences lining up all at the same time around specific facilities that specialize in doing certain things, it's kind of hard to ignore that. I mean, it really is. I mean, I've even like, okay, there's this one time I was standing next to a buddy of mine and I'm just looking up at the sky. I'm like, And I even pointed. What is that? And my buddy, without even looking, is like, it's a plane. I go, yeah, but look at it. And he looked up and he's like, huh? I'm like, I know. It was flying backwards. That was before I even knew that planes could do that. I mean, it was flying backwards. Like, obviously, it wasn't flying backwards. But it was like, the smaller wing and the bigger wing were in reverse locations. And I'm like, I didn't even know they did that. Just... So and I know with conversations with him that our military is so far advanced on their technology, things that they have, aircrafts that they have, far beyond what we could even imagine. So it just stands to reason that there's a lot of, there's probably a lot of things out there that would surprise us as far as the technology, capabilities, what have you. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. But yeah, I seen that and I had to chuckle. I definitely had to chuckle. I mean, I've never been abducted by aliens. It'd kind of be like the Ransom of Red Chief. I mean, if they abducted me, they'd just give me back. They'd be like, hey, we don't want this guy. He's crazy. He is nuts. We went in there. Never mind. I'm not even going there. It'd be funny, but never been abducted. Can't really say as if I know anybody personally that has had any UFO things. I'm like, I have heard stories, but, just nothing, not me, But anyway, that was my little satire, little fun thing for the show. So next, this headline. In just 2 short weeks, we are coming up on the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of our bailout of Afghanistan. The U.S. military bailout. And I tell you what, guys, with everything else of what's going on, I think it's important to remember the stupid things that this administration has done. And not first and foremost, but just starting with, our bailout of Afghanistan. We left behind so much crap. It is not even funny. This headline is from USA Today. Let's go ahead and pull that thing up. What happened to the U.S. military equipment left behind in Afghanistan? Now here's the funny thing, though. This sucker was written back in August 30th of 2021. I believe it was updated, September of 2021. So this, this article's been around for a while. But I kind of find it really telling as far as what we left behind, and that they say, and they make it a point to point out that it is likely that these various machines, that these MRAPs, that these Humvees, that these, helicopters and planes were disabled before we pulled out. However, we know now that none of that happened. Normally is what they do is, they set off a grenade inside them things. They set off a thermite grenade in there and it burns through everything and makes it to where all the tech is disabled. You can't use it. The thing is just, if it's too expensive to ship it back home, then that's what they do is they disable them before they just leave. But none of that happened this time. None of that happened this time. They left behind guns. They left behind grenades, rocket launchers. They left behind helicopters, all kinds of crap. There's even reports that that the Afghanistan army or the Taliban was even flying around in some of the helicopters. A lot of this stuff has gone missing now that we don't know where it is. Our military secrets, our technology, You know, I mean, whether or not it was still linked in some way, shape, or form to the network, if you want to call it that, who knows? But the fact that it was in there, that's kind of telling. You know, here they are wanting to do what they're doing as far as, you know, disarming the American people, but it seems like they're perfectly fine with arming the Taliban. They don't want the American people to have arms, but they're okay with Ukraine having arms. It's very telling with what's going on in the world stage and what has been going on over the past year. It's very clear how they feel about you, how they feel about me, how they feel about the American people, how they feel about constitutional conservatives. It's very, very telling when you take a look at the world stage and see just what's been going on. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break because I tell you what, we have got some stuff to talk about on today's show. We really do. And if you would like to take a look at some of these articles that I am going to be referencing in the show, you can head on over to thehohoshow.com. Just click on that newsfeed tab and you'll see the magazine on Flipboard, my go-to hub for all of my news articles, even if it's not something that is, you know, that I find native on Flipboard. I just, you know, put the article over there in the magazine. You can do that. It's very, very cool. The only thing I hate about Flipboard, you have to log in. You have to create an account in order to view a magazine. I'll be honest with you, I don't really like that. You know, I mean, I wish they had the option to view these things anonymously. However, unfortunately, you don't. I apologize about that. But you know what? I like what they do. It's a good hub. So that's where you can find that information. But we're going to be talking about the IRS hiring spree, what's going on with that, the job description for these IRS agents, 87,000 IRS agents that they're going to be hiring. We're going to be talking about, of course, what's going on with former President Trump. We're going to be talking even a little bit about Nancy Pelosi. We want to be talking about, you know, pretty much it's going to be Trump. A little bit of even Obama, even a little bit of Hillary Clinton, a little even about Biden. Just all kinds of crap. Because I tell you what, guys, that's going to be the next segment. But we're going to be starting this one with talking about the IRS. That's where we're going to be starting this one out. So just a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Have you ever had an ailment that a normal over-the-counter remedy just couldn't fight? If this is the case, then boy, have I got the solution for you. Tussin. That's right, Tussin. Cough? Tussin. Cold? Tussin. Runny nose? Tussin. Itchy watery eyes? Tussin. Broken leg? Tussin. Tussin is the ultimate cure-all, guaranteed to stop anything that ails you. Tussin. Available wherever OTCs are sold. All right, and we're back. So as I promised before the end of the last segment, we're going to be starting off with the IRS. Now, this first headline I'm going to be looking at from the Daily Signal. Let me go ahead and pull that one up. IRS hiring spree is the biggest expansion of police state in American history. That's right. Yes, it is. Now, look. Let me go ahead and start off by pointing out the obvious, okay? This is not the only department in Washington as a function of the executive branch that is armed kind of sort of to the teeth, all right? This isn't the only one. The Department of Education has a butt ton of armed people, an arsenal. They do. You know, they went on a purchasing spree of all kinds of ammunition a while back ago. They didn't put any of these people at schools. They're not using any of that, any of these guns, any of this ammunition that they've purchased for their own security. They don't use any of it to protect our children. So why do they have it? Is it to protect their own interests? Maybe. The biggest hiring spree, the biggest expansion in American history. 80,000 new IRS agents. Now that is, if I remember correctly, that's more than how many they actually have right now. That's more than, you know, that expansion is going to more than double what they already have. That's a lot of freaking people. You know, that's one of them questions where you obviously have to ask yourself, why do they need 87,000 additional people? Why do they need that? And if you honestly think that it's to go after the rich, no. It's not to go after the rich. It's to go after middle class, working class, small business owners. That's who they're going after. That's who they're going after. I mean, if you believe anything else, you're just, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but you're just a fool. You know, I mean, you just are. You know, I mean, the super rich, you know, they don't worry about the IRS audits. You know, they don't worry about it. You know, a lot of these people, okay, they may hide money, they may do fishy stuff, but they're operating within the loopholes that they write in. It's not like they're going above and beyond. You know, people saying, oh, well, this person didn't pay any taxes. Well, he probably didn't have to. You know, I mean, come on. Just saying. They're going after. This is a political thing, guys. This is a political thing. And I know you know this. I mean, this isn't a secret. All y'all know this. This isn't a secret whatsoever. They're going after conservatives. They're going after people who dare to go against the Democrat Party, who dare to go against the flood of immigrants, illegal immigrants that are coming across the border. The fentanyl, the cartels, all this crap. You know, that's what they're doing. If you dare to stand against them, then they are already demonstrating that they will go after you. Period. End of discussion. They're already demonstrating it. This headline from justthenews.com, I think. Yes, .com, justthenews.com. Good place, a good source for news. IRS job posting for criminal investigation agent be willing to use, I did not read that very good whatsoever. Let me go ahead and try that one again. IRS job posting for criminal investigation agent, be willing to use deadly force if necessary. And in this thing, it even shows, of course, no, it doesn't in this one. Let me go ahead and pull up this one. This is from the Washington Examiner. IRS seeks armed accountants ready for deadly force. I know there's one of these in here. There it is. This one actually has, of course, I'm popping into Twitter right now, but this one has from, this is a screenshot or whatever from jobs.irs.gov. Major duties for IRS agent. You have to adhere to the highest standards of conduct, especially in maintaining honesty and integrity. That's funny, guys. That's funny. You mean to tell me with what the FBI is doing, you mean to tell me that you actually care about honesty and integrity? I don't think so. You have to be willing to work a minimum of 50 hours per week, which may include irregular hours to be on call 24/7, including holidays and weekends. You have to maintain a level of fitness necessary to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job, carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force if necessary, and be willing and able to participate in arrests, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments. Now, here's the funny thing. After this stinking article, that's the wrong one. After this stinking article, after all this went public, after the public outcry of what in the world is going on here, the IRS deletes the requirement that new agents be willing to use deadly force. You see, they kind of got caught with their pants down. And so they delete the requirement because they don't really want people to think about it. Because if they delete it and they make it yesterday's news, unfortunately, the American people are pretty stinking stupid. We'll forget. Because we don't seem to remember crap. Ever. It goes by the wayside. We get too interested in what's on sale. We get too interested in going out and buying shoes. Shoes. We get too interested in our favorite sports team. We get too interested in all this crap. We don't remember what happened yesterday. So if they delete it today and they don't talk about it on Monday, well, then nobody knows anything because we're all a bunch of sheep. We're all a bunch of ostriches that have our heads buried in the sand. That's more or less what happens, isn't it? That's what I see. No, my head isn't buried in the sand. No, I'm not a sheep. But there are way too many of them out there. Red Dirt Road Redemption goes, holla, what's up? How you doing over there in YouTube land? Good to see you. So we have, obviously, now here's the thing, guys, all right? Here's what I want to point out to you. Isn't this, now I could be wrong, Don't quote me on this because I didn't look it up before the show. I was just kind of I'm pretty sure. And I know how pretty sure goes with me. Sometimes a pretty sure doesn't really mean a whole heck of a lot. Other times it's accurate, but either way you look at it, it's accurate somewhere along the line. But wasn't it Nixon who was impeached for militarizing, and I believe it was the IRS, wasn't it? I mean, isn't that what he did? Yes, it was about Watergate. Yes, it was about him keeping stuff that he shouldn't have had. Yes, it was about that. But wasn't it information, militarizing, and using the IRS against his political adversaries? Wasn't that what it was about? I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it amounted to. The IRS is not the only ones out there that are militarizing. They're just the most recent that have been doing it. And I really should have looked this one up too before the show. I didn't exactly have in mind to bring this point up in today's show. I really didn't. That might be a topic for a later date. This might be something that I do over there on Locals. Give a full history of all the militarization of these different departments that really shouldn't have a militarized armed force. I mean, why do you have that? You know, why does the Department of Education need an armed force, need a SWAT team? Why does the Department of Education need that? The fact of the matter is they don't, because they're not using it. Like I said earlier, they're not using it to protect our kids. So they must be protecting something else. Same thing goes with these IRS agents. Same thing goes with these IRS agents. We are going to move on to... That's funny. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next, basically our last topic. And this one is going to cover the remainder of the show. For those of you that are living under a rock, you might not know about what happened on Monday, earlier this week. But FBI raided, and yes, I'm using the word raided. I'm not going to fall for this stupid hippy-dippy crap that the mainstream media is doing now by trying to rebrand it to call it something else because they're terrified that this little maneuver of theirs is going to backfire on them. I'm going to call it a raid of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate down in Florida. So we're going to talk about that right after this. This is going to get heated. Just saying.
You are correct. You are correct. You are correct. You are correct.
Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. And we're back. Now, I am going to do my absolute very best to keep it cool, keep it together, to be cool, calm, and collected all at the same time. I'm going to try to keep this family friendly. But there are certain things that I have zero tolerance for. There are certain things that I find so enraging and infuriating, it's just not even funny. And there's a lot of things to tie in with this. There's a lot of things to point out. And like I said in the last segment, that we all too often have a very, very short attention span and memory whenever it comes to what happened yesterday, whenever it comes to the things of the goings-ons in Washington in previous administrations and previous administration. You know, sometimes you just gotta, so we just gotta go back in the Wayback Machine. We gotta hop into the DeLorean and we gotta hit the rewind button on things of what was going on in the YouTubes. Sometimes we gotta do that. Sometimes we just have to be reminded of what happened. Now, I know you guys don't. I know y'all's out there, you know. And I'm sure that y'all are just as aggravated as I am. But let's make no mistake about it. The Democrat Party is absolutely terrified of former President Trump running and winning in 2024. I mean, why else would they go to the extreme of trying to impeach him a week before he was going to leave office? Because they wanted to make it to where he couldn't run again. And now, 18 months after leaving office, now, all of a sudden, they're going to raid his private residence, perp walk him. I mean, they put him in shackles. They strip searched him. What? What did they think he was hiding, and where did they think he was hiding it? That's what I'm kind of curious about. I mean, holy crap, guys, really? And they're trying to say that this isn't them acting with a political agenda. This is the FBI acting apolitical. I got some questions about that, and I'm going to bring up a little bit later. I'm not going to bring them up right now, but I got some questions about that, because if you're truly operating apolitical, then the person whom has been the target of this FBI crap and these back-to-back investigations where they have spent millions of taxpayer money and have come out with jack diddly squat, then this wouldn't be the person you'd be investigating. I mean, there's all kinds of other people that you should be investigating, people that have clearly violated the law, clearly violated the whole high crimes and misdemeanors, bribery, other impeachments that should be done. I mean, if you're going to make an example out of somebody to where you're going to make it to where nobody else has the audacity to do this again, you wouldn't be doing it to former President Donald Trump. There's other people you can do it to. And if you were acting apolitical, that's exactly what they'd be doing. But their claim was that there's not a whole heck of a lot of articles in here that I'm going to be throwing up, okay? Because, I mean, I've got several articles in here. Again, just head on over to thehohoshow.com, click on that newsfeed tab. The magazine for today's date, 8/13/2022. Just click on that magazine. All this stuff is in there. You can see it for yourself. I tie a lot of things together in there for you with the arrangements of the articles and everything else. Okay, I tie a lot of things in here. So we're going to be touching base on a lot. I'm not going to pop up a lot. I might pop up a few things, but not a lot. Okay. But on Monday, they raided his property. Okay, they raided Mar-a-Lago estate of former President Donald J. Trump. Their claim was that he had classified documents that he wasn't supposed to have. You know, they cut open the lock because, he was trying to hide them, you know, and so obviously he had them in a safe put away so that this way they wouldn't find it, you know, so this way he wouldn't get caught with anything he isn't supposed to. But what they don't tell you is that he was cooperating with the archive people, you know, the people whom he is supposed to be in contact with, and was talking about all these things. And he, you know, the documents that he did take home with them, he's like, hey, here is everything. You know, here it all is. You know, this is all of it right here. Oh, it is. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, you know, why don't you put this in a safe and lock it? You know, put this in, you know, we see you have this safe right here. We see that it's empty. You know, why don't you put this stuff in here? You know, not that you shouldn't have it, but maybe it's a little on the, what's that word I'm looking for? Sensitive side? You know, not necessarily classified, but sensitive. Maybe you should put it in a safe and lock it up. And he's like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do that for you. You know, not a problem. And if y'all need anything, just get a hold of me 24/7. It doesn't matter. You guys have full access to all this stuff. Full access. Not a problem. He was cooperating with all of this stuff. Cooperating. It wasn't a shock that he had this stuff. And their claim was that he had, classified information, and of which case he and his lawyer was like, no, I don't have any classified stuff. And I don't, you know, his lawyer even did some type of a thingamajigger, a written affidavit, maybe, whatever they want to, whatever, you know, spiffy-diffy word they threw in there that, no, I ain't got nothing. You know, none of the stuff that I have is classified. It was all declassified. And they're so angry with former President Trump that they're like, you know, we don't care. Classified or not, we don't care. You still need to be prosecuted for this stuff. It's like, whoa, wait a second. Oh, yeah, hold on. I can't go there yet. Also, there was that whole aspect of it was nuclear secrets that he took home. That was one of the claims as well. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have a hard time believing that. I really do. I have a hard time believing that. And my reason being is, if that happened, it is so easy for a White House, anybody in the White House, president or not, just to walk out the door with nuclear special, top secret, top echelon, whatever. If it's so easy for that stuff to just walk right out the door, do you really think they would be broadcasting that to everybody? I really don't think so. I don't think so. So I kind of have a hard time believing that. Okay. Now here's the thing too. Okay. Because whenever they showed up, they made it a point to do it when former President Trump was not home. I do believe his lawyers arrived. I don't know if it was, just before. I don't know if it was after. But they would not even hand over the warrant. Violation of Constitution right there. They held it up, and he had to get a telescope to read it from like 30, I don't remember if it was 10 feet away or 30 feet away. I don't really care what the distance is, because let me tell you something. Either way, it's not like this was really big writing. I mean, this was a sheet that had, 10, size 10 lettering on it. You ain't reading that from 10 feet away, but that's what they did. The FBI agents held that piece of paper up and said, look at this from 10 feet away. They wouldn't even give it to him. And, okay, now this next part, this is kind of a loose what have you. Okay, this is kind of, iffy. All right. According to reports, the FBI had a warrant to search, the private residence. They were able to search anywhere they felt that files would be kept and to take these files. And so, you could argue that they didn't have the right to search his wife's wardrobe, her closet, but they did. And I say that's kind of, loose because it's like, hey, if he was trying to hide something, he could have hid it in there. So, in all actuality, yes, they had the right to search that. Who's to say that there isn't anything in there? So they have the right to search. And I'm just going to throw that out there. Any place where documents could be kept, they had to, according to the search warrant, they had the right to go there. Just throwing that out there. You may not like it. Yes, it's fishy. No, I'm not backing the FBI on this. The whole thing is a big stink burger that doesn't even pass the sniffer test, not even close. Not even close. So there is that. We're like what? A month and a half? August, September, 2.5 months. I don't know. We're some time away from the midterm election. Is it any wonder that this is happening? Because they're absolutely terrified that Trump is going to run again in 2024 because they know that they don't have anybody on the bench that can beat him. They know that, Sleepy Joe, Sniffing Joe, I like it whenever kids bounce on my lap and rub my leg hair, Joe, they know that he can't beat Trump. They know that Kamala Harris, who has a lower approval rating than Biden does, know that Kamala Harris can't beat Trump. Heck, their best bet is AOC. How sad is that? Bernie Sanders ain't establishment. They're not going to let him win. They didn't let him win the past 2 times. They're not going to let him win a third. Their best bet is AOC. Do you see AOC winning against President Trump? No. They've got nobody and they know it. How sad is that? Their best bet to win the 2024 election is AOC. Holy crap. That's sad. Is she even old enough yet? Is she even 35? I don't think she is. But they're all of a sudden talking about the Espionage Act, and they're all of a sudden concerned about this type of information getting leaked to our enemies. Have we forgotten about Swalwell and his, having a Chinese spy on his payroll? Are we forgetting about this? A person whom is still on the whatever committee that is, what committee was that? The Defense Committee, I think, is what it is. So what? They now care about that kind of stuff? No, they don't. Because if they did care, then Swalwell would have been removed from that position because he obviously isn't competent enough to be there if he is going to allow a Chinese spy on his payroll. I'll even give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't knowingly do it, but he's definitely incompetent enough that he shouldn't be at the position. Maybe not that he necessarily deserves to be in prison for that, even though it'd be nice to put him there. If you're going to make an example out of somebody, make an example there. Just saying. Now, here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. Let's bring it home a little bit. All right. Y'all know me. I am a constitutional conservative with libertarian leanings. I am principled in my beliefs. Do I think that former President Trump did anything wrong? No. Let's not forget that the exact same thing that former President Trump is claiming and did is no different than what former President Barack Hussein Obama did. Took documents home to Chicago that he said were declassified. We don't know what the classification status of it is. We don't know the topics of these declassified information. We don't know, but we know that he had stuff in his possession that was declassified, and all of a sudden now they have an issue with that kind of stuff happening. Okay. So you're going to have this big old investigation on former President Trump. Okay. And this is why I entitled this episode, "We Have Lost the Republic," because this kind of crap going on, our founding fathers would be livid. You know, there was a time, and not even that long ago, I would say that our founding fathers would, you know, they would be fighting a revolution against the government we currently have now. That our government has gone beyond Great Britain pre-revolution. They've gone beyond that. And now they have gone a multitude beyond that. I mean, if you thought a year ago that they've gone too far, they are really pushing the bounds. I mean, this, you know, what the government is doing now is kind of like, you know, you telling your kid, you know, you have a 2-year-old, you know, don't touch this piece of paper or you're going to get a whooping. And they go, now what's that kid saying to you? Well, easy. You know, I'm not a big Dr. Phil fan, but I very much agree with him whenever he says that whenever you tell your kid, don't do this or you get a whooping, and they go, I'm going to do it. What are they doing? They are asking you. No, in fact, they are begging you for a whooping. Don't disappoint them. That's what our federal government is doing right now. They are asking for a butt whooping. They know they've gone beyond what it is they're supposed to be doing. They know they're violating the Constitution left, right, and every which way you can do it. They know this. This isn't a secret. It's not like they are ignorant or even willfully ignorant. They outright know what the Constitution says. They are banking and betting on your ignorance and your just keeping your head buried in the sand. That you are just going to do nothing. That's what they are banking and betting on. They've gone to Vegas, baby. Banking that you're not going to do jack diddly squat. We have political prisoners in this country. People that are still being held without bail, without being charged from January 6th. They want to claim insurrection, but yet not one single person has been prosecuted with an insurrection. And you're not going to see that happen. Why? Because then you're going to get cross-examination. You're going to get questions that are asked by the defense, questions that should have been asked a long freaking time ago. But we still have political prisoners in this country, things that we never thought would ever happen in the U.S. of A., the formerly great United States of America. Oh, dude. That's absolutely freaking hilarious. You know what? I'm going to say this. I'm going to read that because this is absolutely hilarious. So AOC is 32, can't run yet. 32. So unfortunately, by the time, January 6th happens, inauguration, she's not going to be 35, obviously. Or maybe, I don't know when her birthday is. No, it doesn't matter. She's 32, so she can't run yet. So next time, 2028, she can run. But Brian puts in there, goes, AOC is 32, can't run yet, but she has a fat ass, LOL. I mean, that was the best part about that Fight the Rich dress that she wore at that Met Gala. That was, never mind. I shouldn't say that. Anyway, back to the topic. That was absolutely hilarious, sir. That was funny. But here's my thing. Going back to the whole me being a principled conservative. Okay. If President Trump, I'm sorry, I keep calling him President Trump. I mean, it's former President Trump, isn't it? He's not the duly elected president. He didn't win. Of course, Biden won the election fair and square. He absolutely did. To say otherwise is to get banned on YouTube. I know I've had, 2 videos banned because I dared to question. So yes, obviously President Biden was the duly elected president that got, 87, million, I don't even know how, 87 something votes. Yes, because, that people voted. So former President Trump, if he is guilty, then yeah, prosecute him. Fullest extent of the law. Do it. Do it. But if the FBI and the Attorney General is going to sit there on their high horse and claim that this isn't them being political, it's them being apolitical, then okay. Then here's what you need to do. I am willing, as one of we the people, to tolerate an investigation and a trial on former President Trump. I'm okay with that. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I be? Right after you prosecute and send to prison Hillary Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, and Joe Biden. And while we're at it, Hunter Biden as well. Impeach Joe, send him to prison. I am perfectly okay with yet another investigation. And I mean, there's already rumors that, they've already got a grand jury lined up for this crap, And again, I'm fine with that. Let's do that. I am willing to tolerate another investigation right after Hillary Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, Sniffy Joe, and Crackhead Hunter. Brian put in here, he goes, the FBI agents should all turn in their badges and guns because they violated their oaths. And you know what? This one's actually kind of, it's, yes, I agree with you. I absolutely do. Yes, they violated their oaths of office, but, at the same time, they might have done it out of ignorance. This is me trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because, look, I don't have any doubt, or at least not a huge doubt, that the majority of the FBI agents are good people. It is the upper echelon. It is the decision makers. It's the seventh floor of the FBI that are all political, that are all just, these people need to be more than just removed from their post. They need to be arrested. They need to go to prison. They need to go to general population. The upper echelon, the decision makers, the heads of the FBI, and the department heads and this, that, and the other, those people need to go. Those people need to go to prison. Those people need to go to general population. And ignorance only goes so far. One of the things I learned in my first traffic stop whenever I was 16 years old was ignorance is not an excuse for breaking the law. Oh, you didn't know then? Well, that's okay. There's your ticket, now. Ignorance is no defense. It's one of the first things you learn. Just because you're stupid, that's no excuse for breaking the law. There is no ignorance clause in there. And since we're talking about ignorance clause, remember how I said not that long ago that I'm perfectly okay with putting up with yet another investigation and prosecution of former President Trump regarding the mishandling of classified material. I'm okay with that right after Hillary Clinton, because let's not forget, shall we, that Hillary Clinton, they investigated her on her using for government use her own private server that they know was hacked. It was verified, it was hacked. But using her own private email for government use. And if they are we need to protect these, these documents and classified documents, because look, in the statute, in the law, that your knowledge of whether you committed the crime is no excuse, because that's actually in there. There is no intent clause. Why wasn't she prosecuted? And while they were at it, because former President Barack Hussein Obama sent her classified emails to her private server. Another violation of the law. Mishandling of classified material. Former Vice President and current President Joe Biden was guilty of the same thing. Why isn't he being prosecuted? I mean, if they all of a sudden care how presidents and the administration handles classified material, why aren't they being prosecuted? If this is the FBI acting apolitical, I will tolerate this against former President Trump. But why don't we start with the people who did it first? Why don't we start with former President Barack Hussein Obama? Why don't we start with Hillary Clinton? Why don't we start with Joe Biden? And while we're at it, why in the world is Hunter Biden not being investigated and prosecuting for his laptop, for the bribery that they have already, they know that the big man being referred to as Joe Biden, pay for play. They know this. This isn't a freaking question. This is an answer. It has been confirmed. They can't deny it. They know this. But why isn't anything happening? Is it because that this is all political? Ladies and gentlemen, if the Democrat Party doesn't lose their asses on November, we're in a world of hurt. And in all honesty, I have no doubt that they will lose their ass. I have no doubt. I have no doubt that the American people will speak in the ballot box as clearly as they have ever spoken in history. I have no doubt that you will see the American people scream in a loud voice against this administration. That you will see sweeping victories all across the board, I have no doubt. None whatsoever. But here's the thing. Now, this goes out to all you rhino Republicans. This goes out to all you do-nothing Republicans. This goes out to all the Mitt Romneys out there. This goes out to the Mitch McConnells. This goes out to all you worthless pieces of crap. Every last one of you. Because if you don't defend the American people, if you don't go to Washington and do exactly what we are putting you there to do, if you act like you did during the first 2 years of former President Trump's presidency and just do nothing, go along to get along, just do enough to say, we tried. We ain't going to take that. No. We ain't going to tolerate it. Because you will be put up there with one purpose and one purpose alone. To stop Biden, his administration, and to defund all of these departments that they are relying on to act as the police state whenever there's an uprising. Let me say that again. If you don't defund the IRS, the Department of Education, the Department of Transportation, Homeland Security, Housing and Urban Development, if you don't defund them and make them impotent, then all you are doing is allowing them to fund the very people that they are going to use to institute a police state. Isn't it curious how they are defunding the police and yet over doubling the amount of IRS agents that will be armed to use lethal force if necessary? Isn't it peculiar how they want our streets unprotected while they arm their people. Because our sheriffs, our police, our city police, our county sheriffs, this is the last defense that a lot of people have out there. I ain't talking about the country good old boys. I'm talking about your average everyday people that isn't in the flyover, we take care of our own America. The police force is the last hope they have. And yet you have, through Democrat areas, this big push to defund the police, to take away your protection. All while they buy all the guns for themselves. Why do you think they're doing that? Have a brain, people. Is this thing on? Have a brain, people. Wake up and smell what's going on. See this for what it is, please. Because I don't want to wake up tomorrow living in communist China. Or wherever communism is. Russia and all these other kind of places. I don't want to wake up and be that. I would much rather have the America that the previous generation of ho-hos fought and defended for, what our founding fathers made. I would much rather live in that America instead of this sad, sad state of a country that we have right now. This ain't the America they fought for. This ain't the America that I was born into. This ain't the America that my father lived in. This is not the America that my grandfather fought for. This is not the America that his father before him fought for. This ain't that. And the sooner that we, the American people, wake up to that fact, the better off we're going to be and the more freer we are going to become. Defund what's going on in Washington, because that's what this political party, that's what these Republicans who are going to get elected come November need to do. Defund the crap. Now, I know that they're not going to just be able to roll back, but what they can do is hold the government hostage. That's what they need to do. Don't be afraid of a government shutdown. No, 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 no. Don't be afraid of that government shutdown. In fact, use that as a weapon. You want to pass something? You don't want to pass a Republican agenda? You ain't gotta. This is what we're putting on your desk. If you don't sign it, that's on you. Defund them. This country's going to work great. You feel me? You feel me? I hope you do. You have the power. If they get elected, they have the power. I know they're not going to be able to roll back. I know they're not going to be able to roll back. But they'll have the power of the purse. And they can hold the government hostage. They can make it to where his administration cannot do any more harm. They can turn the fans off to government. They can shut the puppy down for 2 years if they want to. And if they don't, Brian says, I smell what you're cooking. Bacon and eggs, baby. Guys, that's really all I got. It really is. The crap that's going on today it's infuriating to me. I know where I stand. Do you? That's the question. Do you know where you stand? It is high time you make that choice. because we need to be making that choice. You know, I hate listening to some of these mainstream, I don't want to say mainstream media per se. I'm talking about people that are on the right, people that are conservatives, you know, that are, you know, the voices that are out there. Okay. I'm not throwing any names out there, but you know, the people that are on the radio or in TV land that claim to be conservative. But look, guys, here's the thing. Okay. In here, there comes a time when enough is enough, and the only option that you're left with is, unfortunately, a violent one. Not that I want it. I'm just saying there comes a point when that's the only option you got. I don't want it. I cannot stress that enough. I do not want it. But there comes a point when enough is enough, and you're forced to do what is necessary. I don't remember who said it, but the tree of liberty must be watered from time to time with the blood of tyrants. What do we have now? We haven't reached that point as of yet. We ain't there. We have a chance to put a stop to what's going on in Washington, but we need to exercise our voice in the ballot box, and we need to write our congressmen and women and our senators and our governors, and we need to tell them in a loud, clear voice, enough is enough. That's all there is to it. We have to be willing to do our part. Y'all just have yourself a good one. I'll see you next week. Take care, alls. This has been The Ho Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.